I've been to paradise and seen amazing and in some ways even shocking things that no one else will tell you about. But it was me, by the will of the Lord, who was entrusted with the mission to inform living people of what awaits them in the place that we used to call heaven. I assure you, it's not at all what you expect. Thus began the amazing revelation of a man named Don Piper, whose unique experience of traveling beyond the boundaries of our mortal existence is amazing. This incredible story with an unusual ending took place on January 18, 1989, on that ill-fated day that changed his life once and for all. He was returning home in his car when it was raining heavily outside. Crossing a bridge over a river, his car was hit by a truck driven by an inexperienced driver. The impact was so strong that Piper's car instantly turned into a pile of scrap metal. Several people were injured in that accident, but no one was in such serious condition as Piper. 4 ambulance workers who urgently arrived at the scene of the accident examined the man and concluded that he was dead. Based on this verdict, they turned their attention to living people in need of emergency medical care. Don Piper's body remained lying on the bridge, but then a real miracle happened. A priest he knew was returning from a Christian conference along the same road where the accident occurred. After getting out of his car, he approached the lifeless body, and despite the fact that he had already been pronounced dead, he saw that he had suddenly come to life. The priest immediately called the doctors, and when they saw signs of life in Piper, they began resuscitation. But what the doctors didn't know was that at this very time, something more stunning was happening to Don Piper himself. He was in heaven. This is how he described this place. I was surrounded by a soft and radiant light, and I did not see artificial lamps, which gave me the idea that God illuminates everything with His glory here. This light was radiant and soft, but at the same time, it was not blinding. It was something beautiful. When I began to look closely at the rays and glare, I could barely make out the colors. I've never seen such amazing shades. Everything shone and sparkled, as if I was in a fantasy movie about another dimension. Then Piper noticed a beautiful gate in the distance, which was wide open, and a pleasant golden light was also shining from there. He later described the incident as follows. For a moment I thought it was a dream, but everything looked so real that I had no choice but to believe. In front of me was a magnificent gate made of light. According to Piper himself, at that moment he did not feel any needs and knew that he would no longer have material needs. Then, he noticed several familiar people walking towards him. These were all those who had died before him and whom he knew personally. Moreover, all these people were not only familiar to him, but each of them in some way positively influenced his fate. Therefore, their presence did not surprise Don Piper. It seemed absolutely natural to him. Among these people were his childhood friends, as well as relatives, his father, grandfather, and grandmother. Piper was particularly struck by the appearance of his grandmother, whom he remembered as weak and ill, but in paradise she looked healthy and radiant. That's how he described those events. When they surrounded me from all sides, I felt their love. They were genuinely happy to see me. It seemed that everyone in heaven was happy. Every face sparkled with light and joy. I have never felt that so much light energy would come from people. With every passing moment, more and more people approached Piper and addressed him by name. He was stunned and in awe, realized that new wonders awaited him with every step. He looked through the gate and felt no anxiety. None of those who met tried to move forward. Nevertheless, everyone began to move towards the gate at the same time. Don Piper said that at those moments he was surprised that the brilliance and intensity of the heavenly light were constantly increasing. The further he walked, the brighter the glow became. The light enveloped me, and I had the feeling that I had been moved into the presence of God. Although our earthly eyes must gradually adjust to light or darkness, my heavenly eyes saw even such bright light with absolute ease. In heaven, each of our senses is immensely enhanced, is how he described his feelings. Then Don Piper heard some unusual music, the most beautiful and enjoyable he had ever heard. At the same time, it somewhat resembled the sound of birds' wings. Later, he heard such a beautiful symphony of sounds that his soul trembled like an autumn leaf. He spoke about it like this. Suddenly, I heard beautiful angelic music and a chorus of heavenly people who praised the Creator. Despite the fact that hundreds or maybe thousands of voices were singing at once and numerous musical instruments were playing, there was no chaos in it. Everything merged into a single stream that flowed right through him. This music still sounds in me, even though more than 30 years have passed since my return from paradise. Then another amazing thing happened. Instead of just listening to beautiful music and thousands of voices praising God, he unexpectedly became a part of this choir and sang for a while, feeling his soul filled with joy and freedom. Don Piper felt something special gathering around him, subtle but powerful. A moment later, a multitude of angels appeared before his eyes. They filled the entire space around him, like light streaming from everywhere. Their faces radiated a soft, benevolent radiance, and in their eyes there was unimaginable kindness and compassion, which made one feel calm and warm. Some angels wore majestic wings that shimmered like iridescent silk, reflecting the heavenly glare. Others appeared without wings, and their images were more ephemeral, as if they were made of light itself. However, regardless of their shape, all the angels were incredibly beautiful. Their beauty was not of this world. It was ineffable and full of grace. Piper felt that these angels not only existed nearby, but carried out an important mission. It seemed that each of them was busy taking care of the people around him. He felt their love and care almost physically, sensing their goodwill. These beings were here to guide, comfort, and support everyone who was in this world of light and peace. Don Piper stopped in front of the heavenly gates themselves, because they made an incredible impression on him. Here's how he described it. One thing came as a surprise to me. When I thought of heaven, I expected to see a gate made of pearls, because the Bible speaks of a gate of pearls, but they weren't made of pearls. They were mother of pearl, or more precisely, iridescent, and they also glowed and shimmered. Then Don Piper took another step forward to see what was going on outside the gate. There he saw a city with paved streets, houses, and roads. This city looked golden. There was a hill next to the golden city, on top of which Piper noticed a tall and towering figure emitting light. That's how he wrote about it. I decided that it was Jesus Christ. I wanted to go up the hill and thank him for letting me be here. Don Piper claimed that the paradise he managed to visit was the most beautiful place imaginable. There were no tears, no pain, no suffering. And then he realized that if he went further, he would see something even more amazing. But that's not all. Piper also caught layers of scents and smells that he had never felt before. It shocked him to the core. It even seemed to him that thanks to these smells, he finally took a deep breath. Although, of course, it was an immaterial breath, his soul just felt lighter and freer. But then something unexpected and strange happened, which Piper did not expect at all. When he was ready to step forward and enter the other world, the gate he had been longing for suddenly changed. Beautiful, as if made of light, they began to gradually dissolve. Piper looked at them in amazement and bewilderment. A moment ago, they had been there, beckoning him, promising him peace and joy, but now they were gone, like a mirage. He tried to focus, but the gate was still slipping out of his field of vision. It was so unexpected and inexplicable that he didn't know what to do next. The feeling of being close to something great and bright was suddenly replaced by confusion. Then the gate inexplicably disappeared completely, as if it had never existed. Instead of beautiful music, Don Piper heard the prayers of the very priest who prayed for him on the bridge where the accident occurred. A man who had been thought dead for several minutes suddenly came to life. Although Don Piper himself noted that he could not say for sure how much time he spent in heaven, 90 minutes, seconds, or even 90 years, time in heaven does not matter. Don Piper said, "Over time, I realized that there was a reason why I was brought back to Earth. It consists in telling living people things that no one else will tell them, to share my experiences and those experiences that I experienced in paradise. And most importantly, it seems to me that I was brought back as an edification to those representatives of the human race who live without measure and walk on the edge. My experience tells them that if you live a righteous life, you can go to heaven. Believe me, there's plenty of room for everyone." My main message, which I brought from paradise, can be expressed very simply, but it has great power. It means that none of us should rush to the next world, because only here on earth do we have the opportunity to live our lives in such a way as to earn a place in paradise. Only in this world can we show kindness, forgiveness, and love for others, and gain an experience of mercy and compassion. It is in our daily actions and the choices we make that the life that will open the gates of paradise to us is born. I realize that paradise is not only a place of great beauty and peace, but also a space where true love and endless understanding reign. But in order to find it, we must strive to become better than we are. We must learn to give and understand others. We are given a unique opportunity through faith, mercy, and compassion to prepare ourselves for that eternal life, for that world in which peace truly reigns. Believe me, for the sake of paradise, it is worth trying to be kind, even when it is difficult, to be loving, even when we are offended, to be merciful, even when we are betrayed, and to be compassionate, even when there is coldness and indifference around. All of this makes sense, because ultimately our good deeds, our patience, and our loyalty will become the treasures that one day will lead us to an amazing place full of happiness, which we all call paradise. Another person who managed to visit paradise and return with important messages for living people was neurosurgeon Alexander Eben. This happened in 2008, when due to an acute form of meningitis that destroyed his brain cells, he fell into a coma in which he spent a whole week. According to the neurosurgeon, medical reports showed that his body did not respond to external stimuli during this entire period, meaning his brain completely shut down. This means that at that moment, he was unable to have any dreams or hallucinations. Nevertheless, Alexander saw images that completely changed his life. When his consciousness separated from his body, he first saw strange shadows, but then, very quickly, a white light pulled him out of this darkness. When the light appeared, the man heard perfect music. After passing through the gate, he found himself in paradise, or as he called it, an ideal world with some earthly features. The neurosurgeon described paradise as a land of beautiful, very lush waterfalls with crystal blue ponds. There were also transparent, shimmering creatures flying through the sky and leaving long trails behind them, similar to lines like airplanes. According to the neurosurgeon, in paradise he met a spiritual guide in the form of a woman. She had sparkling blue eyes, high cheekbones, a wide forehead, and a radiant smile. She didn't say a word, as she communicated with him telepathically, and also radiated pure love. Together they traveled through the vast expanses of paradise, where, according to Eben, he did not so much see as feel the presence of the being that we in this world designate by the word God. But what struck the neurosurgeon the most was that while in paradise, he constantly heard a telepathic signal that conveyed the same message addressed to him personally. You are loved with eternal love. You are being taken care of. You have nothing to fear. These were not words, but sensations that he felt every moment of his stay in heaven. Despite the severity of the illness and the doctor's predictions, the neurosurgeon miraculously recovered without any serious health consequences. The journey to paradise radically changed his outlook on life. After all the experience, the neurosurgeon turned to people with an important message, for which, as he believed, he was returned from paradise. That's what he said. Don't wait for the end of your life to think about how you lived. It is impossible to prepare for your last day in advance. So you need to make choices consciously every day. Understand that going to heaven is not a reward, but a consequence of a pious life. For a kind and compassionate person, paradise will simply be the next stage in their spiritual life. Dear friends, thank you for watching my video to the end. If you liked it, please like it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's very important. Thank you, and have a nice day.